Welcome to another episode of the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast. This podcast was designed to let you know that you aren't the only one that took forever to get it together. So the rabbit hole that you have stumbled down will hopefully help you understand that just when you think it's over, it's only the beginning. Just because you were dealt a bad hand doesn't mean you have to keep it. Welcome to the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast.
And what's going on? Another day, another episode of the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast. This is your boy, the Guru, otherwise known as Terry. Have you guys know my name anyways. But it's Terry. What's going on, man? I am excited to be back in front of you again. I decided that I'm going to do a lot more content. I'm going to make some folks upset with me. Because, listen, we are in a place of change. And we are in a place of transition. And transition isn't always easy. Sometimes transition is the hardest. Because when you're in a place of transition, you have to leave certain things, certain people behind. You have to leave certain mindsets in the past. Transitioning is totally, it's totally life altering. I mean, if it's done right, transitioning, if it's done right, is life jarring. I've been on the last couple of days or so, I've gone through and I have been on this purge of my social media, my TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook, everything. Even in my podcasting, I am starting to do a turn a curve and do different things and change, because the next elevation in life, the next rung of the ladder, the next progression, the next blessing, the next miracle, the next whatever, there has to be a transitional change. There has to be a certain mindset shift. You can't go forward with the same mindset. The old saying goes, I read it yesterday, you can't, and you've heard it 1,000 times, you can't go forward looking backwards. And this is true. Now, lately I've been talking about, this is going to be a real short one today, but here's the thing, is that yesterday I made a post on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and I said about starting to free yourself, right? And in order to free yourself, you have to let go of certain things and certain people. But before you do any of that, you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision to be free, right? That's where we are. Freedom comes with mindset change. And once you make a decision, everything else becomes a little bit easier. I'm not saying that any of this stuff is easy. I'm just saying that it'll make the next step and the next journey a little bit easier for you. Today, though, I'm going to talk about standing on your decision. Standing on your decision isn't the easiest thing to do. I say that 1,000 times. I shout out from the rooftops. It is not. Because when you stand, you know how many times we've made a decision, said we're going to do something, and then waver? As soon as the storm came, we said, I'm not going backwards. I'm going back. I'm not setting myself up. I see the train coming. You know what I'm saying? The storm comes and we waver. The strength comes in the stand. Donnie McClurkin had a song a long time ago, and it's still a hit. It's still a gospel classic to this day, and it's simply called Stand. When nothing else seems right, when nothing else is adding up and the doors are closing and all this other stuff, the song says just stand and watch God do it. Now, sometimes that is because what happens sometimes in life that we get so deep and mystical and everything. We get deep, mystical, we overthink everything, and then we miss the mark simply because we miss something as simple as just sitting still. We don't want to sit still. Why we don't want to sit still? Because we got ADHD and we just got to do stuff all the time. And then we wonder why situations don't quite come out all the way right? Because you done had your hand in something. You didn't stand like God told you to. right? You didn't stand because God. You did not stand because God, like God told you to. We are so. It's because we're human, right? And we're so busy doing what we want to do, and we got our own plans about our life, right? And that's because that's typical. Everybody thinks, oh, that's not what I want to do with myself. This is my life. Da, 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 da. My mama told me before she passed away. She said it a lot of times while she was on this planet, and she said to me one time before, and it stuck, and it never left me. And she said, if you ever want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. If you ever want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. And I live with that. And believe me, God's been chuckling at me for years because I decided I'm going to do certain things. I'm just going to, I'm going to make this decision. I'm going to marry this woman. I'm going to leave this woman. I'm going to cheat on this woman. I'm going to do whatever. Anything that I've ever done in my life, a lot of it has been strictly on what I wanted to do. And my life was a complete disaster. Sometimes we have to get out of our own way. And you'll hear people say that all the time. We have to get out of our own way. And one way to get out of your own way is to stand still. If God has gave you something, if God has seeded something inside of you, and if you have made a decision to birth what God has given you, stand still. Not saying not to be active. Not saying you still have to be about your business. But emotionally, stand still. Sometimes we just have to wait for instruction. Because a lot of times we make decisions and we move and we transition without instruction. And that is how we get into a world of mess. So on today, if God has birthed something inside of you, if God has given you something and said that that's for you, I'm going to implore everyone who's listening to this podcast to stand still. Again, not stand still, physically stand still, but emotionally stand still. And don't do anything without instruction. The moment we lose or don't do in instruction, we lose our place. Okay? That's the most important thing I'm going to give you. And I'm going to drop this off. Don't move without instruction. Also, if you are listening to this, and if you have asked God for anything, whether it be a new house, a new car, motivation, another significant other, whatever that you have asked God for, when God gives it to you, move your feet. Never ask God anything and then be afraid to move your feet. Okay? Now, how that correlates is because you're not standing, you're not moving without instruction. Right? You're being active because God has said, okay, this is what you want to do. I'm going to grant you this. Now you move on that. But get out of your own way. Stand still. Stand on the decision that you've made. Stand on it. 10 toes down. Believe in it. Because I can promise you that no one else is going to believe in what you believe in more than you. Promise you that. What my wife and I are getting ready to walk through, nobody believes in that more than us. That's the statement. That's it. That's the post. No one is going to believe what you believe more than you. So whatever decision you have made, stand on it. Stand on it 10 toes down. You guys have a great day.
Thank you for listening. I hope I didn't fry your brain too bad. come back through and give me another chance. You can listen on all platforms and visit us at Knucklehead Chronicles Podcast.podbean.com. Until next time, in the words of the incomparable Jerry Springer, take care of yourself and each other.